Well, it's the longest journey in the Football League calendar, an 800-mile round trip for the best fans in the land. Maybe going more out of hope rather than expectation. But whatever happens this afternoon, one thing is for sure, that is our supporters will do the club proud. Well, they will be praying that the players will be able to do them proud in return as well. Argyle are without an away league win all season, having lost their last two, and they're up against a Sunderland side who are unbeaten at home. So the odds are stacked against Argyle today, but there is no time, like the present, to change their fortunes. Hello, good afternoon. I am Charlie Price. This is the pre-match show on Matchday Live here on Argyle TV. Yet again, Argyle up against one of the big boys in the division. And let's face it, it's been a pretty miserable week for the Pilgrims. Just 1 point picked up from 3 home matches. But of course, the only way you can be up when you're at the foot of the table. And football is a funny, funny game. It was Sunderland back in September that was Argyle's first win of the season. So could it be their first away league win of the season as well? We've got lots to come over the next half an hour here on the pre-match show. Lots to cram in. A reminder that match passes can be purchased from our website right now. pafc.co.uk is the place for all of the details. Well, helping me through the next 30 minutes or so is the former Argyle and England defender, Gemma Rose. Long journey, difficult game, odds stacked against us. We said this all on Wednesday and it didn't quite go right. Will it go right today?
Well, I mean, fingers crossed, yeah, hopefully. Definitely it's been a really difficult, obviously, week, probably a few months as well for the team, the players, the staff, the fans as well. A really inconsistent period for us, but hopefully things can go well for us today. We've seen, obviously, there's been a few changes as well, so fingers crossed. We don't know what's going to happen, but fingers crossed we beat them today and we are their first loss of the season, obviously at home for them.
Yeah, we'll get to the team news in a moment because it's quite interesting. But just on the supporters, I don't know whether you saw the images or things on social media or in the news, 2 o'clock, 3 a.m, 3:30, fans making the journey up to Sunderland. It is the longest trip that any team could make in the Football League. It doesn't matter to them that we've lost X amount of games, haven't won on the road all season. Well, it does matter, but they will still go.
Yeah.
They'll still go, won't they?
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of commitment is insane from the fans, the fact that they're still sticking behind the team, which is absolutely fantastic. That's what the players need. That's what the team, the coaches are going to need in order for us to stay in this league this season, and they're going to need that backing from them, especially away games like Sunderland today. It's such a long journey, like you've just obviously spoken about. And yeah, that kind of commitment is what we need to see from the team today as well, in terms of the desire, the commitment, and the passion that they're playing for the badge today. And it's a really, really big game for us in the season. Yeah,
well, you mentioned passion. It was spoken about after the game on Wednesday that there wasn't enough heart, desire in the players, especially in the first 45 against Burnley. So there has been big changes to the side for this afternoon's game up at the Stadium of Lights. Here is the Argyle team. 5 changes in total. You'll notice a change in goal with Connor Hazard coming in. It's basically the side that finished against Burnley. So Houghton, Soranola, Bundu and Wright all keep their places, having come on from the bench on Wednesday. Also a spot on the substitute bench for Mohamed Tijani, which will be a welcome sight for a number of Argyle supporters. Obviously, Gemma, no Morgan Whittaker to call upon this season after his move away. So we know how much over the last couple of years he has been a match winner in certain moments, especially tight games. It's going to have to be up to someone else now to take over that mantle, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, especially for today's game, I don't think there's going to be an individual match winner as such. I think the match winners are going to come from the whole team, not necessarily just a starting 11. It's going to be a squad kind of mentality today, and it's really important that we start well and we have a really consistent performance in terms of defensively, offensively as well. It seems like Miran Muslic has gone from a passion kind of starting 11, the fact that they finished the game really well midweek. So he's gone from more of a consistent approach. The team that's finished, except from one player, the game on midweek, he started with them, he's backed them, and hopefully they put on a performance today for us and we come away with a really positive performance.
It's interesting you say that, because if you do go through the players, like you say, that have come in, Bundu, Wright, Houghton, Grimshaw, even Sorinola, they're all players that were here last season and part of a fight against relegation that they managed to do. Yeah. And the likes of, and we're not necessarily calling these players out, but Beidou, El Hadj, that they weren't here last season. So you're right. He's kind of gone back to a side that have shown proper grit.
Yeah, and I think he's gone back to a side where they understand kind of the culture of the club as well. I mean, it's an away game where fans have had to travel thousands of miles in order to get there and back. Well, hundreds of miles, sorry, but
it will almost be
nearly thousands, yeah, by the time
we
get back. So yeah, it just shows that he's backed them, because he knows that they're going to play at their heart and they're going to put their bodies on the line today, which is what we need from them in terms of the performance that they have to kind of put in against a really strong Sunderland side today. Yeah,
well, Sunderland, you mentioned their strength. They're flying. They're one of a cluster of 4 teams right at the top of the table. They'll have their eyes set on trying to close the gap if they can. Obviously, with Sheffield United losing yesterday, they are unbeaten at the Stadium of Light all season. Their only defeat here, coming in the FA Cup against Stoke a couple of weeks ago. Here's their sides. So Regis Labrie has made just 2 changes, and we think there might be a change of shape as well. Because Abdul Salis Samid has come in to kind of anchor a midfield position. And we've also seen Mayenda drop to the bench, which potentially will see Patrick Roberts come in a slightly more withdrawn role. Mayenda's been basically one of their star performers of late, Gemma. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists. That's 4 goal involvements from their last 6 goals that they've scored in total. Not playing. I mean, what do you make of that?
I mean, it's great for us. It's great for us. But yeah, I think probably looking at this game, they probably think they're going to win the game before starting the game. But hopefully that mindset is going to play in our favour. They're probably resting him as well, because they see that the fact that they've got a big squad, they've not got that many injuries compared to us. It's an opportunity for them to start players that have necessarily played that many minutes this season. And it's really important that we try and go against that fact that they've done that today. Obviously, they've still got the likes of Isidore playing, who's been in fantastic form this season, scored a lot of goals. So they're still going to be a massive threat going forward, and that's something that we need to be really aware of today. Yeah,
let's have a look at Isidore. You mentioned the goals he scored. He's their top scorer this season. He's got a bit of everything. He did miss 2 penalties the other week, which I will mention against Burnley, but he has certainly been one of the kind of the big forwards in this division this season. Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's an extremely clinical player. If you give him any time inside the 18-yard box like we're seeing here, he's going to take shots, and a lot of his shots are turned into goals this season. He's really capable of putting the ball in the corners as well. Consistently he's able to pick out the corners, and obviously he's scored 6 goals this season so far. So it's going to be really important we get really tight to him today, especially inside the 18-yard box. We need to minimise his opportunities that he has in terms of his shooting ability, and just make sure where possible we communicate as a back 3 or back 4. We don't know yet necessarily who's going to start where. But yeah, it's important that we start talking to each other and we start being really switched on from the start of the game today. A lot of those goals that we saw there, quite clever movement, whether it's a little dart to the near post and finish or kind of looping and running behind. So that concentration that you mentioned, those 2 centre-backs are going to have to be right, or 3 if it is 3. It's going to have to be right on it, aren't they? Yeah, and they need to make sure we're passing players on as well, so their movement, obviously inside, outside, making sure we're communicating, passing players on, because sometimes if we follow him into that space, it's going to leave a really big space behind. And that's where the likes of obviously Bellingham's intelligent enough to make driving runs forward and get themselves into different goal-scoring chances. Mention Bellingham. He's one of a few teenagers that are in the Sunderland side. They're the youngest team actually in the Championship. Enzo Lefebvre is another real talented footballer. You look through their squad list. Lefebvre cost Roma 20 million in the summer. Bellingham is being touted with a move to every club in Europe, basically. It's a really good team we're up against today, isn't it? Yeah, a fantastic team with a lot of experience at such a young age as well, which is going to play in their favour.
a lot of players as well, which are linked to big clubs, Premier League clubs, are interested in Bellingham, for example. Other players are in the squad as well. And you do look at their squad and they do have a lot more breadth and depth within the squad. They're able to rest players like they are today and bring other players on of a similar standard. So it's important today, like I keep saying, that we start really well, we stay really compact and we start really positively from the start of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it is something when you can rest my ender and then bring in Patrick Roberts, who's played, about 50 games in the Premier League. It's some replacement.
It is, and unfortunately we don't have that option as of yet, but hopefully, fingers crossed, soon we do.
Yeah, we do, absolutely right. Well, as discussed, it was a really bad week for Argyle last week. Miran Muslic is still searching for his first win as Argyle boss. He's been pretty clear about the way he wants his side to improve and how it is going to improve. Pretty drastic in some of their measures, specifically in his mindset. How do you try and do that? How do you try and get everybody up on what is obviously a huge low today?
That's a huge task for us, and it's also our responsibility. And I take the responsibility fully for the results and for the performance. That's my responsibility. But we have to support also the team. I said it also in the halftime. We are 5-0 down. It takes a lot of courage to get out now and to continue to play and finish also the game. The crowd is on us for sure. Deserved also. We deserve this also. It takes a lot of courage to get out and play. And we tried it also and we did it also. But in the end, if we want to be successful, it will take us a little bit more just than courage. We need some support.
Yeah. You obviously have not been in here long and you've not had to work with things for long, but it's been a quick learning discovery, I imagine, for you to see what we have here. How do you kind of look back at the last week and still try and be positive going into the next few games?
Because this is our job and we have to be positive and we have to give them solutions. And I gave them solutions already inside in the halftime, and I was also very, very clear after the game. If we want to have a chance, something has to change here, and we need to be brave to do this also. If we can do this, we have a chance.
We've got the flag actually. If you're watching Argyle Breakfast this morning, Nick from PAFC Displays was telling us about this Miran Muslic's flag, and it has words along the bottom, Gemma, and one of them is brave, the other is courage. He mentions that those words in particular, heart, a lot in his interviews, and it's clear that is what he wants to see from his players, and he doesn't think he is at the moment.
Yeah, I think he wants to see a lot more work ethic in terms of off the ball, on the ball from the players, and like you said, he does speak a lot about playing with a heart, playing brave. And yeah, it has been difficult the last 3 games. I don't really feel like players, not all players necessarily, have been playing brave football necessarily with their heart. It's been really difficult, especially to go down 5 goals at half-time and have to come out and obviously face a crowd that were really disappointed with their performance. But today's a really big opportunity for the fans that have travelled, obviously all the way to Sunderland, fans that have travelled, obviously watching at home as well, to show that the players are capable of playing the style of football that he wants us to play, being brave, playing with our heart, and obviously just getting stuck in really from the start of the game. I think that's what we've lacked in recent games. Just remaining a bit more positive throughout the game.
How easy is that to do though? If you are a player that has, been in a position at the bottom of the table for pretty much the whole season, knows about this run that we're on, how easy is it to just switch and be positive? It's
so difficult. It's probably one of the most difficult things to do. I think if you make a small error as a one-off, you can kind of get over it. You train psychologically to get over it. You go through workshops and you understand in that moment how to get over that in terms of like making sure your first pass is a simple pass and gaining a bit more confidence throughout the game. But in terms of being rock bottom at the table at the minute, performances have been inconsistent. It's probably the most difficult stage in probably all the players' careers that they've ever been in. But I do think Miran Muslic is right. It does start with a psychological mindset. We need to make sure psychologically we know that we're in this league for a reason. The players are definitely good enough to be playing at this standard. I just think he wants us to play with a bit more heart and a bit more courage throughout the game.
I'm going to just chuck a little stat at you here. So out of the last 17 matches, Argyle have conceded first in 14 of them. And that's an immediate change, surely, of confidence and, being able to play with a little bit of freedom if you go in front in a game. That could be, just say today you go 1-0 up in a game. Is that something that could change the way in which players are thinking about the way they play the game?
Yeah, most definitely. I think as soon as you go 1-0 up in a game like this as well, it gives you that little extra boost. Even if you're absolutely knackered in terms of the 80th, 85th minute in the game, something just switches inside your head. We saw it
against Brentford, didn't we?
We did, yeah. And it's like you just become a different player, become a new player again. You just want this game to just like end, but you want to work as hard as you possibly can to make the point obviously last and obviously gain the 3 points. And hopefully I keep saying it, we start that today and we score the first goal.
Well, that'll be a start for sure. That'll absolutely be a start. Well, Regis Labrie, the Sunderland boss, is probably feeling a slightly different sort of pressure. They are in a four-way shootout, as I mentioned, for promotion this season, along with Leeds, Burnley and Sheffield United. He's hoping that his side can keep pace with those big hitters in the division.
Plymouth then this weekend, I mean, we know it's going to be tough. They've come off the back of a 5-0, fighting for their lives. One of those teams, do you expect them to come and just sit in and make life hard for you?
Yeah, any team in that league can beat any team, so it's still tough, and a new opponent, a new scenario, and it's a good opportunity for us to move forward, especially at home, because we are good so far, but at the same time we need to deserve these points, and as I said just before, probably to be in that part of the table. Now we have to achieve the next layer. The next layer is to be more clinical, is to be probably a little bit quicker and smarter to fix tactical problems at the beginning of the games and so on. So we have many elements to develop, and I hope we'll be able to reach that next layer. Yeah, it's still difficult to anticipate the scenario of the game, because one decision can make the difference and can change the momentum. At least what we can control is the way we want to play, and we can expect a scenario, can expect a shape, maybe, not sure. And if we are very focused on our game, I think we can win, and we give us many situations to score and to win, and it's my only focus right now.
It's always interesting, I think, listening to coaches talk before a game against a side they're expected to beat. They quite rightly, they'll come out with it will be difficult, you never know what will happen in the game, we still need to focus on everything we do, whatever. They will be expecting to win today, especially having seen what Burnley did on Wednesday, won't they? Yeah,
I think managers are trained to sit on the fence in those situations, aren't they? They try and beat around the bush with the expectations of what they want to achieve from the game, but ultimately he'll be telling his players this is a game that we should be winning. If we don't win this game, then the expectations aren't obviously set high enough. But yeah, they'll be coming out thinking they're going to win the game, and hopefully that'll play in our favour if we start really strong today, and hopefully get that first goal and obviously put them on their back foot as well. That would be the perfect situation, the perfect start for us against away against a really strong Sunderland team. Yeah,
and their supporters will be the same again. Where I've been to the Stadium of Light, and at the start of the match it's almost deafening. But again, they'll be so expectant. So if they're not winning, I don't know, or we take the lead, like you say, that could be a factor in it as well.
Yeah, and I think they won't necessarily be trained for that part of the game as well. I don't think they've probably been in that many situations this season where they've gone behind, especially obviously playing at home as well, so they might not be able to deal with it. So that should be something that we go out to set obviously a goal to start with. Obviously our first thought should be do not concede throughout the whole game. Our mentality should be we are not going to concede at all this game. If we come away with a 0-0 draw, that's a perfect situation for us. But if we do go one ahead, then we need to make sure we deal with it in the right way. We're on our front foot, we're defending from the front, we're obviously tight and compact in midfield. And hopefully things go right today, and that's the way in which we will start the game. Yeah,
and just to finish on with Argyle as well, when you look at, you just mentioned it there, we are not conceding today. That no doubt will be the first thing in all of their minds, won't it? Considering the first half that we saw at Home Park just a few days ago, you don't want that feeling ever again, let alone 3 days later.
Yeah, and I think tactically that I'm hoping that's what we should have been working on throughout the week. We're staying nice and compact because we know that one of their strengths are the midfield. They're really strong in midfield. They play really quality through passes, and that's where most of their goals have come from this season. So yeah, we're obviously not saying we want to park the bus, but we need to make sure we've got that line right. We're compact. We're playing brave in terms of what Miran Mustic has been speaking about as well, and we're not conceding the goal, and definitely we're not going to concede early. And that should be our mentality straight from the start of the game.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you what you think might happen in the game, because we've been burned so many times before with that. So, what are you wanting to see today, rather than what you think might?
I want to see a team that are set up to be defensively strong in terms of the fact that not parking the bus that we've just spoken about, playing intelligent football with the ball and without the ball. Like I keep saying, staying compact and just making sure we minimise the amount of opportunities they have. And all I want to see today is a clean sheet. That should be our main goal.
Yes.
Keep a clean sheet, get an early goal, and hopefully put them on their back foot nice and early.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the hope. Well, it has been a long time since Argyle won on the road in the league. You've got to go back to April and a win against Rotherham. That was a side that played in red and white. Our only other away win this season was game against the side in Brentford that wear red and white. You know, I'm clinging on to things here. Our last away game at Stoke was a 0-0 draw. What colour are they? Red and white.
Exactly.
Sunderland, red and white. Who knows what might happen today? What we are clear on, though, is that Argyle TV is the place to watch it all. And our commentary team of the former Sunderland and Argyle midfielder Lee Makel and Nathan Alban are standing by. Commentary of Argyle's trip to Sunderland is coming up next.